Still not live. Still not live.
Live.
Still not live.
Live.
Still not live.
Live. Live.
I don't see it on YouTube.
Oh.
You're lying to me. It's not on
It's
YouTube.
because it's on Facebook.
Oh, it's live now.
Okay.
It is there.
We are live. Welcome to our peoples. If someone would share it on the Disc Golf Management Facebook group, they're going to wonder, they're going to be surprised because we are back. This is a soft reopening after much sickness and much being away.
I still don't see it live.
Sure.
On YouTube?
I see one person watching.
there.
We have one person watching.
It's probably me.
It's
It's for me.
Probably.
It's for
Probably
me.
Eric.
It is for
It
me.
is for me.
It is for me.
It's for
All right, so
What
we're
the
gonna do
heck?
this. What now?
It's not showing up for me. Like I'm in the channel and everything.
Aw, poor Rob.
Poor Robert. Nothing ever shows up for
Dude.
Robert.
Y'all shut up. Cut it out.
Oops. I am showing live, and I am
No.
looking right
Now
at
it showed
us.
up for me.
Oh, now it does.
Yes.
And nobody's watching because they forgot all about us. They thought we just disappeared. Oh, Disc Golf Strong is live too. What if there's other disc golf entities that are strong that are live?
Good day.
So we are back for Disc Golf Answer Man. We've got some about 6 or 7 questions for you. We're going to talk a little bit about some questions we got. We're going to talk about Robert McCall's Super Tectonic keyboard.
Oh yeah, I need a switch. Thank you for saying that. I forget how loud this one is. My bad.
We're talking about some switches you've seen out there on the different sponsors and manufacturers, and just having a good old time.
I refuse to have a good old time.
No, okay.
Oh, dope. I can see all the chat. Let's go. I don't have to have a second window open. Let's go, dude.
And guess what I can do? I can do this.
Oh,
I can,
that's cool.
This is what I
This
like.
program, dude, but I can't respond here.
Hey guys, how's it going? Thank you so much for saying hello, Jeremy Kelnhofer. I kind of stepped into that.
I can't.
I can now put our comments on the thing. Now that means I gotta switch up the way our little spellage is right over top of our logo. All right, that's something to fix. Christian Sarp says, "Yo."
I feel like the best place to put the chat would be in the top left.
I don't know if I can do that. Can I change where the chat is?
You probably can. I think putting it in the top left so it covers Bobby's face is probably best.
Correct.
Actually, there is no way of doing that. At least I can't see. Oh, I can see when people give us a thumbs up, though. Thanks for the thumbs up. All right, so.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Pardon me.
You gonna make it?
That's going to happen all night, I'm telling you. So, I
Yeah.
apologize for missing last week. It was a combination of some of us had things to do, some of us had sickness, and I'm feeling much better. As you can see, I still have a cough, still have a stuffed nose, but I am on the mend, which is amazing. Why does it have there? What does that mean? I'm so scared to touch any buttons and make this screwed up.
Right.
So, let's see. All right. You guys ready just to start the show?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like people aren't tuning in. We got 5 people, 6 people, so
Yeah,
I
we're
think
good.
Maybe we'll, if you are one of those 6 people, please go ahead and share this around so we can get some more people in hyping up the chat.
Yeah, so
But yeah, outside of that, let's do it.
let's do it. I'm sure people are doing Christmas stuff.
Let's
So
do it.
here we go. Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of the Disc Golf Answer Man. I am Bobby Cool Daddy Slick Breeze. I have with me my amazing co-hosts Eric Oakley and Robert McCall. How are you gentlemen doing this evening?
Your voice
Great.
has a cool rasp to it right now.
Does it? It's because of my cold. I know. I wish
Yeah.
it was like that all the time.
Did you do that on purpose?
Yeah, I'd probably get more dates if that was the case. I don't know.
Or it'll help your karaoke game.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. So, and then if I go really low, can I sound like Robert McCall? No, that doesn't sound anything.
Yeah, that was really close.
Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't come running in. What? So we are here. We're back we had a week off last week, and then this is Christmas week. But anyway, I haven't played any disc golf. Let's talk some disc golf. Who's played some disc golf since we talked last? I know Eric Oakley has. Nothing for you, Robert?
I've been playing pickleball.
If you guys don't play the frizz.
Sorry. I've been playing pickleball some. I've been playing Halo Infinite a lot. I've been hanging out with my baby child, who's walking around like all over the place. Yeah, so that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance. Like I said, I've been sick, like back sick again. I was just getting over COVID stuff, and then dummy me went out in the cold with no hat on, and I remember thinking, it's really cold. I'll probably catch a cold. And sure enough, the next day I was feeling it, and then it hit me hard. So I haven't been able to get out to do anything. I will tell you, Robert, I finally found a Claremore Pickleball Club. And they play at the YMCA here? No, the rec center. They play here Tuesdays and Thursdays, and so I'm going to go there hopefully this Thursday if I feel much better to get out. But I want to get out there and play some pickleball, so I'll finally get into a new pickleball community. Have you seen anything from the Emporia pickleball, the new courts and everything that are playing on them with the nets and stuff?
Yeah, they look awesome, and we're headed to Emporia. I think it's end of January just to go visit.
Oh yeah.
So we'll get to. Well, I don't know if we'll get to play on them because it'll be January, so maybe it'll be too cold and crappy. But if not, I'm stoked. I can't wait to check them out for sure.
Well, man, I wish I could come and visit with you guys, but I will have someone in my Airbnb house for 30 days. So that's good though. So, but I'll have no reason to go back to Emporia. So they're staying there for an extended stay time. Eric, talk to us about some Florida weather, though. Great weather, I'm sure, for disc golf. And then you traveled to Tejas to celebrate one of our homies' wedding. Talk to us about that.
Jonathan Nicholson. So I've been able to play a lot here in Florida outside of today, and because it was rainy and 50 and kind of gross, but that happens. Like that's just like a one-off type of day. But we went to Texas, was able to go play with Gabe, AJ Risley, Cynthia Ricciardi, Kyle Klein, and my lovely wife Tina, and we went and ripped this at Town Lake, and then we went played a little bit at Turner Park while we're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Super fun to get out there. But I have been throwing a lot. It's been really good. I've been testing a bunch of new discs, which we'll talk about here soon. And yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's super nice. I feel very lucky to just kind of get out and throw, and I have an idea for a future video series that will be super fun, that will allow me to do more on the road, which is really cool, and will incorporate, being with Infinite and being able to bag any disc I want, type of thing. So I'll give a little drop to what that entails, I guess, right now. The idea is to work with different pros and basically do a review video with them and basically saying, hey, convince me to bag your Signature Series disc. And let's go review it together. So first one will probably be me with Paige Pierce throwing the Fierce. And I will go out with her to a course, and I'll be like, what holes would you throw a Fierce on? And let's go play that same hole together, and let's do it. Or what types of shots, and we can go out to a field and throw it. And it'll just be one to give her a chance to review the disc, me a chance to review the disc, and then also, see if I can see myself using it as a disc. And we've also have the Passion as an option, and I have a couple other pros that are coming into town, so that works with, I'm going to try and get those, but while I'm on the road, and as new Tour Series discs come out as we're on the road, that's the kind of option that we're going for. And I think it'll be a really great option to hype up a lot of a lot of new players' releases, and again, give them a platform to talk and hype up their own disc. Which
That's
is
cool, man. I like
cool.
that. That's very cool.
Yeah.
So the
We
wedding
need
was
a
nice,
name
though?
though.
Was the wedding nice?
The wedding. Let's talk the wedding. The wedding was awesome. John and Steph are two incredibly awesome people, and they deserve each other. And getting to meet some of their family and friends was super nice. Also, I mean, I got to see Donald and Cynthia Oliva, Steven Story, Bradley Crow, and a few others. Connor O'Reilly ended up being there. It was a pleasant surprise, and it was just nice. It was just nice to kind of get a little reconnect in a for the right reason. So it was very beautiful, and they do like they're just happy, and it makes me
cool.
happy.
Yeah, I wasn't able to come, unfortunately, because of my illness. Yes, because I suck as well. Very cool. All right, well, let's get to some disc golf questions, guys. Thank you so much for sending in those questions. Remember, go to discgolfansman.com, submit those disc golf questions, and we will get them on the show for you. Appreciate all y'all tuning in and all y'all listening as well. Also, Spotify has added a way for you to rate us 1 to 4 stars. And what do we like, Robert?
5 stars.
5 stars. 5 stars. So if you listen to us on
You
Spotify,
said, hold on. You said 1 to 4 stars though.
because
go for
again, I'm an idiot and I suck. I meant 1 to 5
Well,
stars.
I was gonna say 5 stars.
I wonder why you hesitated.
But yeah, 5 stars.
What,
Hey, thanks for the review. 5 stars.
5 stars. All right, so this question comes from Brian. A question for Eric. What was more difficult when switching sponsors? Filling your bag with new discs or filling your wardrobe with new outfits?
Wardrobe, 100%.
Oh yeah.
I have an enormous bin full of hats, sweatshirts, and shirts that are all dynamiced out that like I can't really wear anymore. Like I probably could wear some of them because it just says dynamic disc. Like a lot of them doesn't stay team, but at the same point, like I should be wearing as much Infinite and Thought Space stuff as I possibly can because those are the people who are supporting me. So I will likely be putting some of that stuff up for auctions or putting them in some giveaways. Like we're gonna do some mystery boxes that'll probably contain some cool clothing and memorabilia from my time with dynamic discs. So that was definitely the hardest part. Robert can feel me on this. It's like when you're getting rid of some dope
100%, dude.
It hurts.
Yes, oh my gosh. Yeah, when I left
Some
team,
cool
like
stuff.
I gave all my team polos and stuff and everything to team members for nothing, like super duper cheap.
Yeah.
But as I was pricing them and giving them, putting up pictures, I was like, dude, this polo is sick. This polo is sick. Oh, dude, this vest is awesome. So it hurt my feelings, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I agree. My bag was filled like a week later. I still don't have very many disc golf clothes because so many of them are out.
That's funny.
Yeah, I feel that.
I still have.
Like,
I mean, I would have no reason to get rid of them, but I still wear my DD T-shirts and stuff like that. In fact, I was getting a new cell phone the other day, and I was just standing there waiting for them to do all the authorization stuff, and some guy just looks at me and goes, "So how often do you play?" And I used to go, "Huh? Oh, I'm wearing them." Now it's just like as soon as they ask me that, I tell them, I get to go play out and this and that and like that. And then he said, so I asked him we were talking about disc golf and stuff, and I said, yeah, I used to work for Dynamic Disc. He goes, oh, that's cool. And I talk about trying to get involved in the disc golf scene here and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, disc golf is growing so big. And I was like, yeah, it's a pretty big sport, really big thing that people discovered during COVID. And he says, I think it's the Paul McBeth effect. I think he's just got everybody going out there. And I want to go, dude, I worked in marketing. Shut up. I know what I'm talking about. Oh, I'm just teasing.
Yeah.
No, it's what I said, not what you said. Anyway, I'm just teasing. That was a really long layup for a really bad shot.
Somebody threw out Sean threw out a comment that if you watch one of Simon's Vlogmas where he called pros, he called me while Tina and I were working out in the garden and I didn't have a shirt on, and so yeah, there it is, the comment that's posted. So it was very funny because Simon gave me the option to go put a shirt on, and I was just like, you know what, whatever, who cares? Like, let's just do it. And it ended up, being a nice little treat. If you want to see me looking with a nice little sweater vest on. You can definitely go check that out.
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice. All right, let's hit up the next question. This one is from Luke. Hey, love the show. It's helped me learn a lot in the time that I've been playing. Trying to work on getting more spin on my backhand throws in hopes of all-around better flight. 2 questions on this. First, what effect would more or less grippy plastic have on spin? And do you recommend one or the other for drives or approach shots? So go with that question, and I'll get you to the second one.
I do think grippier plastics will generate more spin, but you're gonna find it hard to find a lot of grippy, like really grippy plastics in your drivers. Now some are gonna have decent grip, but for the most part, when they're moving fast and they're catching the ground, they're gonna kind of keep their speed. On approaches, I think it definitely has a lot more benefit to throw something that has a little bit more give, or is more in the baseline plastic. That will likely slow it down quite a bit more. I prefer to throw grippier plastics or discs that don't like to have a lot of play on the ground, just to be able to control the distance a little bit more. So I'm controlling it to the distance, not playing a little extra skip or roll that it's difficult to account for. But definitely when it comes to getting more spin, it can be helpful. But I think a lot of that comes from a little bit of mechanics. You shouldn't necessarily be thinking too much about spin, but the more you kind of get into the natural motion and work your mechanics, you'll start to get that. And I think one way to really do that is to go play a lot more catch, because throwing a catch frisbee will naturally get your wrist moving and understanding how to spin a disc, and then you can start to incorporate that into your throw.
Yeah, I'd be really curious if we had, one of those robots that can release the disc the same every time, the impact that grippy plastic would have over slick plastic. Because probably a little bit, but I can't imagine that it would be such an impact that you'd want to switch all your discs to a grippier plastic, I mean, I would say even if there is a greater impact, I would stick with what feels the most comfortable in your hand. So I wouldn't if you don't like the feel of soft plastic, don't throw it just because it sticks better. You want to feel confident with whatever disc is in your hand.
There you go.
Completely agree.
Number 2 question, or second question. I've heard all kinds of things about the disc in your hand during your release, and some of it seems maybe a little contradictory. So in your opinions, what should really be happening in the last moments as the disc is leaving your hand?
That this should be ripping from your fingers, or you're not actively thinking, unless it's a super touchy shot, actively thinking about opening your hand. The disc should be kind of with the propulsion, is that the right word, of
Momentum,
pulling back
and
and ejecting the disc forward. There should be no way that you can hold on to the disc, type of thing. And that's when you have the right grip strength and everything down, because that itself will generate a lot of spin because of the friction that is acting from your fingers and your hand into the disc, of it naturally ripping itself out. So that'll add spin itself. I guess that's pretty much how I would put that. It's like you shouldn't actually be thinking about in the last seconds, oh, let go, like that. You can't do that. Your brain doesn't connect and talk to your hand that fast. What do you think, Robert?
I think you nailed it. Yeah, there is more consistency when you're getting to, I guess, the terminal velocity of your arm, where it's like this is the fastest that your arm is going to be, and that's when the disc rips out. Instead of thinking about letting go of it, you're always going to have more consistency there. But the question of what happens at the end of the hit, I mean, there may be people, I wonder if you're asking about this, who talk about like breaking your wrist early or just having your body do it. I think it's better for your body to do it. I'm not thinking about curling back whenever I am reaching back. I'm trying to keep a pretty flat wrist until I come into that power pocket, and from there, that's when the wrist breaks. It's kind of like letting go of the disc. Like the wrist only breaks because it has to. Same with the disc coming out. It's going to come out because that's the natural release point. So that's what I would say.
Is that and that's where I think where the term snap comes from, right? Because it comes out of your gripping your grip is so hard on the disc, it's flying out of your hand so fast that you kind of have a snap at the very end, right?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of it.
Yeah.
I think that it's really like, okay, so you're holding the disc, in here, right?
Yeah.
Like in this little kind of soft area of your hand. And when the disc rips out, the snap that you're hearing, I think, I'm not 100%, but is your fingers landing on that pad.
Right. Yeah.
And so, yeah, and you can't really do it like this, but when a disc is in there, you can't. And so, like, if you're looking, like, if you're searching after audible snap to prove that you have snap, then you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Because it's not the case for everybody. I mean, if you listen to, like, I think the loudest that I've heard is probably 3 people. That'd be Drew. The disc coming out of Drew's hand is insane. But then the same goes for, like, Double G and Eagle. They both have insane audible snap.
Yeah.
But there are people who throw just as far as them who don't. And so that's not a sign of throwing better. It's just what they do.
Didn't Valerie
So I
Jenkins
wouldn't
have a
put
snap?
too much in. Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
And I don't think, it's not a sign of throwing better or worse or farther. It's just how you're gripping the disc. So I wouldn't chase it.
So one of the questions in the YouTube comments says, is there a time you can see where a disc robot machine becomes a thing and flight numbers get standardized as technology progresses? So kind of back to what you were talking about the machine, Robert. Do you really think that something like that could ever become a thing?
Yeah, 100%. It could definitely be a thing. I think I talked to someone, I think I saw he commented on something on Facebook today, but Kyle Giovannini, he's a Team DD guy, military guy, or maybe his wife, I can't remember. But they've moved around overseas and come back quite a bit. And he is he's an engineer, and talked to me about an idea for building a machine like that. He said it wouldn't be that difficult to do. You just need the resources to do it. I think we're probably not as far off from that as it seems. Somebody's going to have to be convinced of the importance of it to spend the money to absolutely make it standardized. So, that's...
It would just need to be like one. It would almost have to be like its own individual entity that goes and gets, like, everybody's going to still, like, say, like, all right, we're going to figure out what our flight numbers are for this disc as a company, right? You're going to throw it, you're going to have people throw it and give yourself flight numbers. But then you can have this secondary party that says, all right, here's what our machine says the flight numbers are based on these mile per hour releases and spins and velocity and stuff like that. So you can also have flight numbers that determine what the disc does based on how hard a person throws as well. I think could be really really interesting. So if your average speed is 50, now you know how that disc and what the flight numbers are for you, which would take most higher speed discs and make them all more on the overstable side of the spectrum. They'd all be like Firebirds and Felons and different things like that. But as you gain miles per hour, maybe some of those faster discs their numbers start to straighten out, where the Firebirds and Felons of the world stay the same.
Right.
I guess I see, and I get it. I see how people say this stuff is either needed or maybe it's interesting to talk about, but and I'm not a big sports person to know the answer to this question exactly, but are there other sports that are this particular about certain measurements within there? I mean, yes, there's a standard for a soccer ball, there's a standard for a basketball as far as the sizing, I'm sure. But I'm trying to think of other sports where it's like, it's such a regulated thing that they have a third-party company make sure that everything is on the up and up.
Yeah, I mean,
golf would be the best example.
Yeah, there are golf robots that do this exact thing.
Oh, really?
For sure.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah, right. You wouldn't want to do this for soccer or basketball because it's one ball that everybody plays with.
Right.
So, the size is standardized. It's not as, I guess, varied as disc golf discs and plastics, and even individual discs from one run to another. I would love to see it. I think it'd be fascinating. I'd be all about that for sure.
So I guess it really does just, obvious, but it does come down to the money, because obviously there's a lot more money in golf than there is disc golf, so you're going to see people invest in stuff like that.
Just barely more money, though.
Just about that much.
It's not that much more. Just like a little.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah, that's right. That's about right.
All right. Okay, so Josh has a question. He says, with all the discs Eric can now throw, does he believe that there is a disc still to be made? Is there a shot or something with quality that you are just waiting for someone to make? Example, someone really needs to make a putter that does blank, or mid-range that does blank, etc. Thank you guys. You are the best. Love listening to the show.
I've been saying it for a while. I feel discs have gotten to the point where we've seen, we've seen the straight discs from the putter. We've seen the straight disc from the mid-range. We've seen the straight disc from the fairway driver up to the 7, and even potentially leaking into some 9 speeds that can jump to an extent. And what I mean by straight is does not have a lot of peel right, doesn't have a lot of fade left. It is pretty point and shoot, hit it hard, maybe touch a hyzer or flat, and you get that dead straight flight almost throughout. I think the first company that makes a 12-speed type disc, because I feel like that's like the standardized of distance drivers. Like 13 and 14s are talked about, but they're not really loved the same. I think being that the Destroyer did what it did and created the hype around the distance driver doing what it does is super important. But most of the time when people are throwing a Destroyer or high speed disc like that, it is hyzer play or over the top play, like eagle shot at the players, the match play thing they did in the Pittsburgh area, I think it was, where he threw that 700-foot shot where he ripped a disc over on Anheuser and had this holding flight before it faded out and was incredibly impressive. But he had to play the angles of the disc to get that distance. What I would love to see is a 12-speed disc that flies like a T-Bird or Explorer or an EMAC Truth or something like that. But a 12-speed disc that does that, I don't know if it's even possible, but if it can be done, that will be the disc that I believe could break the game. Do I think anything faster is needed? No, I don't think so. But a disc of that caliber that you can throw as hard as you possibly want, and it goes dead straight, and it goes 450, 500 feet, is going to be the disc that we have not seen. Or it might not even be doable.
When you say that you throw, what skill level are you talking? Because it's going to do something different when I throw it and you throw it.
For sure. And I think that's a hard one, because for a disc to be at that speed and stay for that long, it would need to be for an elite level player, because I don't think you can necessarily, because there might be that disc and it's understable for you, Bobby, that is fast, that goes straight. Oh, Daniel, I'm talking majority of pros, not not the 1%ers like Drew Gibson. He throws so far.
Yeah. I will say, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But my point is, it would probably be in the high speed arms for it. Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. So this is anecdotal, but just hear me out. The one time I got to play USDGC, I had a Ballista Pro in the bag. It was a Proto Ballista Pro that was worked in. I mean, it wasn't understable, but it was it literally flew like a T-Bird that I could throw as far as I could throw it, which, it's not going to be much over like 430. But on on 888, right, you just tee straight. There's sidewalk right. There's trees and brush to the left. And one of the rounds, I outdrove my group throwing that just on a flat shot. Now, once again, I don't outdrive people often, especially not at that level. But That's the only disc that I've had like that was just so straight, minimal fade. But it didn't start like that, and it was only like that until I lost it, of course, because that's what happens to discs. They get out of that sweet spot.
For sure.
Exactly. But that sweet spot was like, it was incredible, but it was only like that for, the 3 weeks leading up to that and the week of USDGC. And then I lost it and whatever. But I think it's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just tough. It's tricky.
Do you think, I mean, obviously we have insider information, but you know that, and people know it. Manufacturers make discs, new stuff, to test the market, to have the nice new shiny toy. Do you think we'll ever see anything? There's not a Speed 15 disc, right? Is there? 14's the highest.
Yeah,
is there a 15?
The Missilin and the Rakuten were
they 15?
They were marketed as 15 because of the hex pattern.
The hex pattern.
Yeah, the reason that we can't do that right now is that specifications limit rim size,
right?
And we're already at that rim size. Like if you look at a nuke.
But do you think? Do you think a manufacturer will lobby the PDGA to change that?
I hope not.
Why?
I think that'd be silly.
Why?
I think that people are already breaking disc golf as it is with the discs that we have. Like the courses that we have are not well suited for the modern power player's game because they can just overpower the course. That's not all courses, but I mean, most of the casual courses, even some of the lower level, tournament tier courses, you can just crush if you can throw up and over everything, or if you can get this disc to hold straight and peel right at 450 feet, which people are starting to be able to do on a good forehand or a clean backhand or something. So I like it how it is because it's incredible, but it's not like throwing in a Roby where it's just you let it go and you're like, oh my gosh, look at this. But who knows where it's going to go? You know what I mean? I like where it's at.
All right. I was just curiosity. All right, let's see.
We'll cut it out. We don't have any time for curiosity in here.
Yeah. Was your name George?
Keep your curiosity to yourself. All right, okay, are you reading or what?
Yes, and I don't know that they want me to read this out loud, so I will skip that one. This was from Kyle. Hey, the Gam fam. Thanks for the pod. I have 3 main questions for you. He wrote it in that cadence, by the way.
I thought you said pie, and I was like, we sent out Christmas gifts this year?
Yes. So all
nice.
16 people that are, we'll be getting a pie in the mail.
Make a pie.
Hey.
Okay, first.
Hey, you wanna split a pie?
Split black. What makes a professional disc? What makes a disc a professional disc or a beginner friendly besides weight? Is there an intermediate level disc? Kind of just what we were talking about.
Yeah.
So
I'll speak to that really quickly.
Nope, you got it.
Just super fast.
You got it.
I think stability is the biggest thing.
No, I think you got it.
No. Hey, I'm gonna go for it. I think stability is the biggest thing. That lightweight discs for beginners. Yes, that's great, and you should absolutely use those. But you're gonna be hard pressed to find a lightweight disc made for a beginner that's not understable. Understable discs are easier to throw straight. That's why they're great for beginners. Once you develop some arm speed, you still have utility for those because you can work them to the right. You can turn them into a roller. You can turn them into your Anheuser disc or your 60% straight shot disc. You can do all of that. But yeah, stability is the biggest thing in my opinion. What do you think, E-Rock?
So I think this perception of pro discs to am discs to beginner discs is archaic and backwards because no matter what, you yourself your throw is different from everyone else you play with. Your throw, your speed, your hand size, everything, the amount of weight you can transfer, everything is all different. So you should actively be finding discs that work the best for you and your game. Stop watching in the bags and modeling your bags off of pros. Yes, that might hurt my sales of discs in the future, because would prefer if you threw everything that I threw and supported that. But at the same time, if a disc that I really love is not at all good for you, you shouldn't throw it just because of me,
Right.
or any other pro. That I think is the common misconception, is the more you can start to find discs that fit your own personal game, the better you will end up being. Don't
Yeah.
If you go out and you throw a diamond and it is butter for you for these sick turnovers that you're throwing at 50%, easy flip, holds over so you don't have to work as much on a sidearm, throw a diamond. And if you're 1,000, and if you're a 10-20 rated player and you're still throwing that shot with that same diamond, keep throwing it. Just because it says it's a beginner disc does not mean it's limited to just new players.
Right. And
Like that.
And the opposite is true as well. Like when the stiletto came out and I was still sponsored by DD, I had a stiletto in the bag, but I didn't need a stiletto. Like I don't throw hard enough to need that. I mean, you don't have to throw hard to make a stiletto do something for you, but like torquing over forehands and throwing them as hard as I could to get it to full flex when I could have just thrown a flat shot with even an enforcer or a defender or gosh, anything that I didn't have to work as hard to throw. I mean, I had to crunch that disc to get it to do anything for me. So, but that's not the same. Like Emerson Keith throws stilettos all over the place. So it's awesome for him. It just wasn't for me. Yeah, the same goes for other discs. Like I threw the Escape a lot, and most people my skill level or higher weren't throwing the Escape very much because it's kind of touchy, and they could, get the flight that they needed more out of, a straight fairway or something a little bit more overstable. It's just something that worked for me. So yeah, it's just about what works for you. Don't be ashamed of what that is. I mean, freaking Garrett Gerthy throws a Sonic.
Wombat 3.
One of the farthest throwers in the game throws a catch disc and a super understable mid range. So just do you.
Do you? Why don't you be you?
Yeah.
And
No,
I'll
Bobby.
be me.
No, copyright.
And I'll be me.
I was hoping that was coming.
Second part of the question. I started playing this spring and haven't started using a run-up yet. Frankly, my standstills could use work. How confident in my standstills should I be before I work on my walk/run-up?
Man, I think. Okay, I'm gonna assume, and I will be making a butt out of me more than I am out of you, friend. But here we are. So you're thinking about your score too much as you're first starting to play, and you're worried about your mechanics too much. If you're thinking that you have to do all these things early on, yes, you're trying to build the platforms to get where you're going, but you should get out there and try all these different ways. Throw from a standstill, throw from a run-up on the same hole, throw from a one-step, throw all these different ways and start expanding your throw. Stop keeping score because you're going to shank shots, and that's fine. But throw a couple shots, pick up your disc, go throw, put yourself in a good spot to kind of keep learning the game and enjoying the game. I think that's one thing that comes into players who are developing and getting into the game, is the score is so important. So they want to be making sure that they're doing everything right to get their score low, when in reality you're in the developmental periods. We'll call it, if you're in the season if you yourself as a team, you are in the very early stages of preseason. You're in the, we're trying to get everybody fit to even start having practices. And that's what I think it should be something that you should be focusing on. You're still in your conditioning phase of disc golf.
Yeah.
So that's my thought.
Think...
I might have made an ass out of me, but hopefully it's not out of him as well.
No, I think you're exactly right. We put a lot of emphasis on score as early as possible because it's probably the easiest way to monitor your progress. But it's not the most telling way, honestly. Yes, lower scores are the end result of putting in work and improving. That's true. But you could go out and play a great round of disc golf and not score very well. Like, that's very possible to do. You could also go out and put down a great score. Yeah, you could also go down and put down a great score and not play very well to your standards. And so, yeah, I think just going out and throwing, like, I've gotten to the point now where I just don't keep up if I'm going to play. I just go throw. And if I want to throw a couple of extra shots a hole, great. If I'm working on something specifically, I'm definitely not going to keep score because it's going to make me think that what I'm working on isn't working. That's not what it's there for. I'm there to work on the process of improving.
Yeah.
Booyah.
It puts unneeded pressure. Like, you should have opportunities to practice for tournaments. And remember, if you're playing in rec, intermediate, or advanced, you're playing against people who have limitations on the amount of time that they can play or limited amount of time that they have played. So that is a pretty big factor of you shouldn't even be thinking too much about that comparison as well, because it's just so important to just keep enjoying the game. The reason I got good at early stages and learned how to throw far was because me and my friends went to a field and grabbed all of our discs and just threw them as far as we could across this football field, went to the other side, gathered them all back up, and then threw them back, and then just kept doing that, trying to throw farther and farther. And we tried different run-ups, we tried different grips, we tried different angles, we tried everything we possibly could, but we were never keeping score, and we were never like trying to throw farther. We were just ripping discs, and when one of us figured it out, we just talked about what they did, and that was one way to help dive it in. And I mean, we had every disc, and we grabbed so many discs that we ended up not ever using. Like, I remember grabbing like an Archangel from like a DX Archangel because it was like, oh, the numbers should be perfect, I should be able to throw it, and it's going to turn, it's going to do things, and it didn't do that. And I was like, what the heck is wrong with this disc? And it took me a lot longer to figure out that was all on me. And again, coming back to it is just keep throwing and keep learning with every single throw. So try stuff that doesn't feel comfortable, because that will be your progression, because you'll start to understand, okay, the release was off, but it felt natural, and that's a positive step. Because again, I think you can throw and hit the first tree and assume it was bad, but it might have actually been a really good throw, and if you're in a field, you'll actually see that it was a good throw. So those things are important as well.
His third question is, go ahead.
Yeah, just quick follow-up question to that, Eric. When you guys were out throwing in the field with all those discs, when did you decide on your current form as it is? Like you were saying, no, yeah, that's what I was curious about, because like nobody would look at your form and be like, hey, that's orthodox. In fact, most call it unorthodox. But when you get to the hit, and when you get to the important positions, you're in the right position. It's just a lead up to it looks a little bit different than most people. So was that something that happened out in the field? Did you come across that later? Was it just natural? What do you think?
I think it was a factor of two different things. It was watching a little bit of disc golf, and the little bit of disc golf that I could find on the internet at the time was I got to see Steve Brinster throw, and I
the hop.
gravitated towards watching him and seeing his hop. So I was in a younger age to where it was easy to adapt that a little bit more. I was 15 years old at the time, so I was still growing, but it was easier to mold and model after study a little bit more. So that was part of it. And two, it just kind of became like I didn't have anything to compare it to outside of, like, I was comparing it to Steve at the time, but I didn't have countless thousands of hours of YouTube videos of Drew Gibson or Simon Lizotte or Eagle McMahon or Paul Macbeth, like, form breakdowns to compare to, because it was all me doing it. And I eventually reached a point where it was so ingrained that the whole process of redoing my swing would have been too much. So I reached a point, and that was, I have made minor adjustments to my swing over the past 3 or 4 years, but that has been at at the consultation, if you will, of Landon Knight, who I think if and when we need swing coaches in disc golf, which there's going to be a time for it, he is the best person for that. So shout out to Landon Knight. He's out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas. He does lessons.
Yep.
You can reach out to him. But he's just an amazing person. He has helped me with my swing a lot. He actually helped me with my swing in the middle of because I was missing some hit points, but I think a lot of that came from taking 6 weeks off in the off season. So I just wasn't able to really get back up to speed that I needed to for the season, which happens. So with that being said, I got to the point where I needed to stick with it, but make micro adjustments that can take what I have, the base that I have. Okay, cool, and then we can make it better in these subtle ways rather than scrapping the whole thing and rebuilding from the ground up, is what a lot of people end up doing, which I think I'm too many years in to make that type of change.
Right. Sorry, Bobby. I was just curious about that.
No worries. All right. So his third part of his question was, what are some recommended courses in Northwest Iowa or in the Iowa area in general?
Man, I've only played Wildcat, a couple other courses, and I have played Pickard. But Pickard's dope. That's in Des Moines. I don't think that's necessarily in that portion, but I think there's Iowa's actually kind of low key dope.
Awesome
for disc golf. Yeah, it's like there's a lot of really good stuff in that area. So yeah, I think that that's how it is.
All right, we got one last question. This is, what's up, DeGam crew? I'm a left-hand backhand player, but if I throw forehand, it would be with my right hand. So I don't throw forehand at all. Because of this,
you're Max Nichols.
Yeah. I have to throw turnovers and anhydrous a lot. As I've been working on them more, I can get the nose down for the most part, but can't seem to get the disc high enough in the air for it to get full flight. What happens is I either can't get the disc on the turnover line at all, or if I do, it's at an immediate descent and doesn't get the full flight to come back when I need it to, and it kills my distance. What can I do to fix this? Also, is there another approach I should be taking when playing, since a forehand doesn't do me any good in my case?
I think you need to try some more understable options, like very understable options, and go to the field and let disc naturally turn over, because you're probably trying to throw the shot hard still, because you're talking about it's killing your distance, where if you're trying to get something to naturally turn to the right, you don't want to be like, unless you're good at forcing over and you have the ability to control those angles, then do so. But if not, slow it down, disc way down, and let it naturally do that flight would be my suggestion. What are you gonna say, Robert?
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, if you're having trouble keeping it over to the left, I'm with you 100%. Throwing a more understable option is going to help you. But that's something that I struggle with as well when I'm throwing anhydrous, is just throwing it nose up, because a high nose up release and a good high anhyzer release feel shockingly similar, and so they're very close to one another, and so it's easy to just get that nose up and then it just flies kind of straight and then finishes left, and you're like, well, that's not at all what I wanted to do. But most of the time when I have that issue, it's when I'm trying to throw a neutral disc and kind of force it over instead of just letting an understable disc do its thing. So yeah, I'm with you 100%. I know that Zach Arlinghouse is another guy who's a left-hand backhand, right-hand forehand player. I don't think that just because the only way you could throw forehand is right hand that you should totally discount it. But I would place a lot more significance and importance on learning those anhyzers than I would messing with my forehand a whole lot, unless you're going to start learning that left-hand forehand, in which case I would say definitely work on that. Being able to throw the disc on either side of your body it's crucial to score in today's game. If that's what you want to do. If you want to just go have fun, throw it however you want. I throw very few forehands but I'm not trying to score at the top level anymore.
All right, we're going to move on to our segment that we've been highlighting since Eric's change over to Infinite Discs. And what's the other one? I just feel bad. You just announced it.
Thought Space.
Thought Space. Yes, Thought Space. So tell us, what are your 2 discs that you've been checking out?
At the moment, the one that I'm really hyping up is the Exodus as my fairway driver of choice for if we were to call it Explorer, T-Bird, Evader type disc. I've been really trying to learn this one more as my time goes on, and to complement that, I have the let's do this one. This one's pretty. I have the Thought Space Athletic Votum, which is another disc that I have actually been throwing that is very similar to the Exodus, but I think there's a possibility that they could be used in different ways, which is super, super nice, of having a complement to where you do see players bagging discs in some situations where I'd have a Centurion for my flippy stuff, I'd have the Exodus for my dead straight stuff, and I might have a Votum for straight to stable stuff before I start stepping up to a Scepter or Firebird or Felon type disc. And that's where it's these 2 discs are been really fighting for spots, and I have a couple others that I'm awaiting to try, the Passion and Fierce at the moment. But yeah, to me it's just, this is one of probably the most important slots to have kind of lined up in your bag, is a good 7-speed disc. And I think the Votum might be a little bit faster, but it doesn't feel that much faster. I feel like I'm throwing similar lines with both of these, but I'm getting a different flight where the Votum feels just a tick more stable, probably more like a natural eagle flight, where the Exodus flies kind of feels like an eagle, so they don't feel that different, but I'm getting a much straighter flight out of the Exodus, which for my arm speed, which is really, really fun. And they both are pretty exceptional in the wind, which is really great, especially for a straight thrower.
And you said you've been working on a video series, or have you guys started that yet, where you've been kind of talking about this on video as far as different discs you've been trying out?
Yeah, the Building the Bag series, the first 3 segments are filmed and waiting to be produced. I did putting putters, throwing putters, and approach discs, where some of the throwing putters will be approach discs, but I tried to keep approach discs to a Justice, a Zone, different things like that they are truly unique approach discs, whether they're super understable or they're super overstable approach discs. I kind of left it to that. I went out and threw the Stego and a couple other options along with it, and the mid-range is the next one up, along with, and I might break fairway drivers into 2 segments as well, because I think there's merit in doing 7 speeds, 7 and 8 speeds, and 9 and 10 speeds separately, because I think they offer different options, and a video with both of them in it could be too long. The mid-range one is going to be insane. I still don't even know. I know I'm loving the Pathfinder from Thought Space Athletics, the Claymore, but there are so many good mid-ranges out there. It's kind of insane. So I think that's where it's I'm gonna throw a bunch of stuff and there's not gonna be much difference. So it's really just gonna come down to feel, and that's kind of what the first 3 videos also were about. It was this flies great, but it doesn't feel good for me, and I need people to know that it's a disc can fly great and could be perfect for you. It doesn't feel good, you're not going to be confident, and that's, I think, is a really important part of it.
Have you given yourself a date that this is the date where I'm going to have my bag? I know new discs come along and you want to try different things, but is there a specific date that you say, okay, this is it? This is what I'm gonna now. I've got to really get to know these bad boys before the 2022 season.
No? I have a feeling my bag is gonna have a little bit more fluidity throughout the season. Where coming into Vegas, I'll have a bag ready, but I think my bag from Vegas to the Texas swing will be very, very different, just because of what is going to be asked of me at the Beast and at Dogwood. In comparison, and I should be able to do that a little bit more seamlessly, where I can, shift to having 5 different distance drivers that I'm going to be throwing at Vegas all over the place for all the different shots. And then when I go down to the woods, I'll probably shrink that number down to 2 or 3, and then up the fairways and mid-range count up a sizable amount for the wooded swing, and just have some stuff that I know and can trust in different situations a little bit more. So I will definitely be doing a starting the season in the bag, where I might do a kind of a bulked up version of in the bag of, this is what I'm planning on throwing at Vegas, and here are some options that I might be throwing at the Texas swing, so everybody will have an idea. And the best part about this whole infinite option, and that I'm going to be changing things up throughout the year, is that as new stuff comes out, I can put them in. I can get anybody's new disc or anybody's new plastic or anything, and find out if it deserves a spot in my bag, and I can do a middle of the season, or after the major swing or before the major swing, what disc I'm throwing, that kind of stuff. I think will be cool to do some updated quick in the bag segments to talk about some new discs, and also with the series I talked about earlier with working with the different pros, that could definitely have some impact on the discs that I end up throwing in my bag.
You were going to say something, Robert?
No, I just that's super cool. What I was nodding at vehemently earlier was talking about a disc that flies how you want to but doesn't feel how you want it to in your hand. Before the Thunderbird came out, before the Getaway and all those kind of discs, the PD was that disc. Yes. Just that kind of cleaner. But if you didn't have a first run, I believe, all the ones after that were made with a plus molded rim, which was like a slanted rim. And I love the flight of the disc, and I could not handle how it felt in my hand. I hated it. And so I didn't bag it until I found one that was that actually felt right, that wasn't the slanted rim. So yeah, I was just agreeing. I think you're exactly right. A disc could be great, and if it doesn't feel good to you, it's not worth having in your hand.
Nope. Yeah, if you don't feel confident, like, you're not going to be confident when you need to throw it, and it's just so
100%.
It's so important, and plastic type can be that. It could be like it could have this little lip that, like you're talking about, that just is like, I just can't figure out why that doesn't feel good in my hand, and you shouldn't force that. I'm not restricted by one company where, the only disc that does that is this disc. Crap. I have to force myself to get used to this, where legitimately there is no forcing. I put in whatever I want in my bag. And not to say, again, it's not a bad thing to do that. And this will be the first time in my career where I have a lot more diversity in my molds, where I used to be more less molds but the same amount of discs, where now I'll probably have more molds but the same amount of discs that I used to, just letting different molds cover the different shots.
There you go.
Sick.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for tuning in on YouTube. Thank you for listening to us on the audio podcast version as well. Thank you for sending in those questions. Keep those questions coming in. DiscGolfAnswerman.com. Select that. Submit a disc golf question so you can get your questions in. Anything else before we sign off, gentlemen?
Not here.
I got nothing.
All right. Well, I want to wish all of our listeners, all of our viewers a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. And, of course, to my co-hosts, Robert and Eric, I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, able to spend some time with some family and friends, and able to reflect on what's important in life. This is the time when you kind of get to see more family than you normally do. It's a time to slow down and be appreciative of what you have and be content with what you have. So you guys have a Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Yeah, man. We'll see y'all next time.